Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here on Vox Markets for Tuesday, the 4th of May. Starting off with Alpha Growth, which has got one of the more persistent bullish situations that we've had here on the daily chart since the middle of March. Currently in a rising trend channel with the top of the channel heading towards a June 2020 resistance line projection at 12 pence. That's a 2 to 3 month target, especially while we remain above the last swing low there for the shares, around 4.8 pence. While we're above that, looking for 12 pence maybe by the end of June or going into July. Onto the star of the day by quite a mile, Caerus Mineral Resources, and here we had a guess when the shares were around 14p that the top of the trend channel was heading towards 24 pence. That's been hit now, so the question is, where is the stock going now? The usual way of doing this is to look for a steeper trend channel, which has been found. That's one from the middle of last month. Top of the channel there heading towards 40 pence, and that could be seen as soon as the end of next month, the end of June. That is what we want to have as a trigger for potential move to 40 pence is an end of day close or a weekly close above 25 pence, which is roughly where the line is. The top of that channel is the red channel on the daily chart, and above 25 pence, looking for 40 pence on that. At this stage, only really back below the initial peak there, 20.6 pence on an end of day close, really delaying the upside scenario for Caerus at the moment. Stock which was looking quite interesting a couple of weeks back was Chamberlain. Here we had an extended bear trap below the 7 pence level. We then found new support at around the 7 pence, 7 and a quarter actually, the last low there. And the view now is that while we're above that, we're now looking for the top of a broadening triangle from back in July last year, heading to as high as 18 pence as soon as the end of next month. A nice end of day close above the 50-day moving average at 9.38 pence, sealing the deal in terms of giving us the confidence for a move towards 18 pence over the near term. Stock which only gets occasional glimpses here is feedback, but looks like its time has come at least for a near-term move. What we're looking at here, or what we're waiting for here, is a break of that resistance line there around the 1.4 pence level. Let's say an end-of-day close or a weekly close above that should finally get the shares off to a new move to the upside after the consolidation that we've seen for months, but basically a year of consolidation, so quite painful for impatient traders. Breaking that line though from July, 1.4 should then take the shares on the road towards the top of that rising trend channel from the late summer of 2019 at 3 pence, and the time frame on that perhaps the next 2 to 3 months. The stop loss on the bull argument at the moment back below the 200-day moving average, currently at 1.15 pence. We had a test of that during April, so we probably don't need another one given that reaction that we had on the shares. Moving along to a stock which is even more rare than feedback around here. It's Geiger counter, but couldn't resist really this the setup that we've got. We've had gaps to the upside which were unfilled, so there was one there at the beginning of December which really got the shares off the ground and started the whole move. So basically the best setup is an unfilled gap through resistance, which is what Geiger counter achieved. Although we had the retracement back to the 50-day line in January, we still maintained the upward trajectory, and while there's no end-of-day close back below the floor of the broadening triangle from the end of October around 37 pence, we're looking towards the top of that triangle as high as 55 or even 60 pence by the end of next month on Geiger counter, so looking quite solid there. Kodal's a stock which the punters have been willing higher for quite some time. It looks as though its time may finally be arriving, and we had that rather horrible pullback from the March peak. That was around the 0.23 pence area, but the gap higher today off the 50-day moving average at 0.12 suggests that at least while we're above that area, which looks pretty solid now, we could head up towards not only retesting or the 0.23 level, but up to 0.25 as soon as the end of this month. Big picture target here up to 0.35, maybe for June, July, and that is a resistance line there from back in the summer of 2019. So initially 0.25, then maybe 0.35 plus over the course of the summer for Kodal. Moving along to Napster, which is a famous name, and maybe it's going to start living up to its fame now. We've had the bear trap rebound from below the initial April support there. That was at 2.05 pence. While we're above that, we're hoping for a move to the top of the triangle from March, which is currently predicting a target as high as 3.7 pence. Decent end of day close today above the 20-day moving average of 2.37, or later this week should be enough to get the shares on their way towards that 3.5 pence plus target, and that might be seen as soon as the end of this month. More obscure stock, but we do have the small oilers back in favour at the moment. Trinity Exploration here breaking that line of resistance from March. That was around the 13 pence level, just above the 20-day moving average, and while we're above that, we get a decent end of day close above that, heading towards 20 pence as soon as the end of this month, which is the top of a broadening triangle from back in September. So looking pretty solid there, especially while we hold above 12 pence, which is recent support for the stock. It's been a long time coming, but may finally be time for Tomco to have its sustained move to the upside, one that the bulls have been waiting for the best part of a year, I think. Here we've broken that line of resistance from November after getting into a very tight range, and that was broken basically at 0.5 pence. Above that on an end of day close basis, and especially while we hold above the 200-day line at 0.56, looking up towards as high as 0.9 pence, which is the top of a September 2020 rising trend channel. Time frame on that maybe by the end of next month if we're really lucky. The logjam breaks properly, then it could be by the end of this month. So finally for Tomco bulls, it looks as though they've got some salvation. Onto a stock which has revealed some very significant looking news today, Tirupati. Here we've got this broadening triangle which has been in place since the stock came to market. That's currently promising us a target of £1.40 plus, which given today's news seems to be all the more credible. If you're cautious on the shares, maybe you'd wait for an end of day close through that March resistance line, which is also today's intraday high to date at 102 pence. Above that, then we should start accelerating towards the long promise target through 130 and 140. Finishing off with a stock which has had a fundraise today. I believe it's £6 million in the kitty for Zoetic, and that's at 60 pence. It'll be interesting to see whether the shares can remain above 60 pence over the course of the rest of this week. Normally when you see a stock holding above its placing price, that is by definition a bullish signal, bullish fundamental signal, I suppose, as well as a technical one. We did look at the stock and suggest that there was a possibility that the shares would rebound above their 200-day line. So that is, it's good that we're seeing that still. And while we're above the 200-day line at 53 pence, the recovery argument in place. But if you're cautious on the shares, maybe you want to see an end of day close through that resistance line there from March and the 20-day moving average at 72 pence before assuming that it's off to the races and for a retest of the £1 area, which was there for the shares at the beginning of March. That's it from me today. Join me again tomorrow for more updates.